Brain surgery is not rocket science to a brain surgeon. What we mean by that is that nothing in this world is really all that complicated at its core, as long as we have a base of vocabulary to work from. Welcome to this edition of the Blue World Employment Situation Report Analysis podcast. The employment report is usually released on the first Friday of every month, and you can see the official report at www.bls.gov. Better, not stellar. June 2017 was a much better month for jobs than May, but that's a pretty low bar. We did also get some help from some solid upward revisions to the last couple of months. As I said on CBS Chicago last Monday, you could have knocked us over with a feather at the rate raise. Last month's job report fed the dove, so we saw no chance of a hike. We were dying to see the minutes of the Fed meeting, so we'd get a hint of what they saw that we didn't, and the answer is nothing. The raise was all on spec and what they think will happen with inflation, considering the, quote, strengthening, end quote, in the job market. So clearly the consumer will start spending soon and inflation will, show up. Evidence schmevidence. So what about today? At the headline, we saw 222,000 net new hires, less the 35,000 added to government payrolls, leaves the private sector logged at 187,000 net new jobs. Better? Sure. But it's kind of like a pro golfer shooting par on a par 5 that's under 500 yards. In other words, no damage done, yet a little disappointing. There were solid improvements in the key indicators we follow, however, like the civilian labor force size, total employed, and the participation rate. There was also a decrease in the not in labor force number, which has remained below 95 million now for the year, but it's still frankly too high. While the participation rate, did tick up a little bit, it's still below 63%. Just for comparison, it was 64+% back in 2011, and we were horrified then. While the not in labor force numbers do appear to have leveled off, the chart has not started a downward trend yet, and that's what makes the characterization of full employment utterly ludicrous. When looking at the U6 line of the table A15 of the report, that takes those and several other labor underutilization stats into account, and the true unemployment rate with those factored in is still 9%. Weekly hours and wages showed a little bit of life, and the work week has now touched 34.5 hours twice in the last 3 months. It's been a while since we've seen that. Hourly and weekly wages in a vacuum are kind of muted at 2.5% year on year, but when coupled with the work week being a little bit longer, people are actually making a little bit more money. So is it better? Yes. Is it stellar? No. Is it good enough for a rate hike? No. The hard data just don't support it. Have a look at the Blue World Economic Index or listen to the podcast for a little more detail on last month's economic reporting. We hope everybody had a safe and fun 4th of July, and we'll see you back here in August.